Welcome back to the show, Steve.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been
You
a couple
uprooted.
years.
Yeah, you uprooted since we last talked, right?
What's up?
You uprooted. You left Philly.
Yeah, I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota now, downtown, heart of downtown.
How is
Yeah.
that in comparison to Philly?
Honestly, like people ask me that all the time, but like I make it a point not to compare them really. Like Philly was Philly, and then Minneapolis is Minneapolis, and I mean they're different in a lot of regards, but I try to I'm just taking it as it is. You know what I mean? It's not
You
really
missed,
better or worse, I guess. I'm
do you
having a
miss,
really good time out here, though. I'm really happy. So.
I said, do you miss the food?
Actually, I just ate a hoagie from Jersey Mike's. That's the closest thing I can get to like back home.
Yeah.
I got a cheesesteak waiting for me on deck too. So yeah,
Not the
yeah.
same. I've lived all over the
No,
place.
not quite, not quite.
No. And why'd you decide to move to Minneapolis?
So I just felt so like I don't know if you remember like when we talked before. I was saying how I was like kind of just going through things. I didn't really like know how to like explain them. I'm like I didn't go to the therapist or anything, but I'm pretty sure I was like depressed in some kind of way. I think it was like post pandemic stuff and like just kind of like at the time starting to figure out how to be an adult, and then all that shit happened, and then I was just in a bad place mentally, so I just felt like I needed to like shake things up. I had to move anyway because of some like rental scam sort of thing that was happening at the place I lived at.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember you talking about you needing to be out of the apartment last time we talked.
yeah, actually, I literally got evicted by the sheriff. Like it wasn't me on the eviction. It was the people that lived there before me who didn't know that there was other people living there renting the place out. So they evicted the people on paper, which were the people on the lease who hadn't lived there in like 13 years or something like that. And then I got ejected, so I had to leave the property. Um, so I was bouncing around from friends' houses for like a couple weeks because the day that it happened, my dad was. I called my dad, first person I call in emergencies. He was boarding a cruise ship, so I'm like shit. So I bounced around for a couple places for like a couple weeks, and then when my dad got back from the cruise, he called me, picked me up, and then I had like 2 weeks to kind of figure out what I was doing. And I was like, well, if I gotta move anyway, like why don't I just take this opportunity to like do something different, like shake it up a little bit. So I went onto a bartender's Facebook group, and I just asked around. Like I knew some of them, I met some of them like in like they traveling bartenders, so like they popped through Philly. So I knew a few of them, but there's like thousands of people on there, and I was just like, "Hey, has anybody got a place I can plant my feet for a couple weeks, couple months, and then and I'll be out of your hair." First place somebody said was Minneapolis, and then 2 weeks later I moved here.
Yeah,
I
that's
total
pretty.
total total Hail Mary, man. I never set foot in the Midwest till I got here. I knew nothing about it. I knew it was 10,000 lakes, land of 10,000 lakes. That's all I knew.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
all I really know too. Is like hockey is there. I know that baseball is there.
Prince is big here.
Prince, yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say Prince is from there.
yeah. I went to his house actually. They did like a tour of his house. It was really cool. Got to see all the studios. Yeah.
Yeah, because yeah, that's right. He recorded from home, right?
Yeah, he's from only like where he lived and recorded. It's like a home and a studio. It's only like 20 minutes from where I'm at, from Minneapolis. It's in
That
Chanhassen, Minnesota. Yeah, it's
yeah,
like 20 minutes west.
I did the same thing when I moved to North Carolina. My brother and I, it was like 3 a.m. and we were bored, and we weren't like drinking, so we were just bored. And I was like, let's go for a road trip. Like it was like a Saturday morning, and we started just driving south, and we ended up in DC at like 6 a.m. and we just like traveled around all the sites, like just taking pictures and shit. And we went to Alexandria because I remember the Titans, so we saw like the high school. And we ended up at a diner in Alexandria. And did you ever see the movie Bull Durham?
Yeah, of course.
So we love that movie. So we were like, the Durham Bulls are playing today at 4 o'clock. Let's go check out a game. So we drove down to Durham. We got tickets to the game. We ended up in a bar that night and had like an amazing night bar hopping. And we were driving back and we were like, let's just move here. Like one of those, like, let's just pick up from Jersey and move here. Like we worked for Roto Rooter, plumbing, and there was a Roto-Rooter branch down there, and just so happens the guy that was the GM there used to work for my dad.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, he took us down in a second and took us into that branch, and we transferred,
Oh, cool.
and we just like uprooted and moved within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, and we didn't know anybody there except each other, and
Yep.
just made friends down there. So I know what it's
Yep.
like to be like just. The problem was my fiance was supposed to be coming down in like the next month after.
Yeah.
She was like severely depressed and ended up taking her own life 3 days after I left.
Oh, geez.
So all I knew was to drink it away and to like do a bunch of drugs. Because of the bar scene, I found cocaine really easily. So
Yeah.
I started doing
Is
coke.
that town in the Appalachians in North Carolina?
No, it's in Central Carolina.
So, like, isn't Charlotte kind of central?
Charlotte is west. Outer
West.
Banks is Outer Banks is
Okay.
east.
Yeah. Way east. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's called the Triangle down there because you have Durham, you have Raleigh, and which is NC State. Durham is
Yeah.
Duke. Raleigh is NC
Oh.
State, and then Chapel Hill is University of North Carolina,
Oh. Okay.
where like Michael Jordan played. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
So we lived in the Triangle. We got to become big Duke fans when we were living there, and we went to a bar that
Fucking
was
hate
like,
Duke.
dude, you learn to like them when you're in Durham.
Yeah, I guess so.
And I ended up hating, University of North Carolina, and we would always butt heads, and I would always be drunk and high on coke and wanting to fight people. You know what cocaine does.
Yeah. Hell of a drug.
Yeah, cocaine's a hell of a drug. Now you're clean from pills, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's 6 years. I don't have the date, but it was sometime in early July of 2018. So it's been 6 years now.
That's awesome,
Yeah.
man. Congrats.
Yeah. Thanks.
I haven't done opiates willingly done opiates since April 25th of 2018.
Oh yeah, so it's like right there. I think we talked about that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did opiates twice since then. I hurt my tailbone really bad.
Oh, dude, when after I initially got actually no, that was right before that. So I broke my collarbone. Like I did get off him for a little bit right before that, like July 2018. Then I broke my collarbone riding my bike. Like you see that?
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah. So I got a metal plate in there. So I broke that. The bone was literally broken off and it turned perpendicular to the rest of the structure. And I also broke my shoulder blade. So for like 2 weeks I did prescribed opiates. Like I did it exactly, but also it was easy too because I was strapped like this. I couldn't move, and I was with my mom. So it was like once those prescriptions were done, I was done with that. And so it happens sometimes. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, I had hurt my tailbone. They gave me 5 milligrams, which like I was doing like 530s before.
Oh, dude, when I was in the hospital for this shit, I was like, listen, I've done this shit before. Like you're gonna need to give me more. And then it took a while, and then they finally gave me like a shot of morphine. And then I finally felt like good at that point. And then that was it. I had the hospital, and then I had the prescriptions afterward until surgery. So, but yeah,
they gave me 6 5s. I took 4 of them, and then I dumped the other 2.
Okay.
Because I was starting to feel better, and I didn't want to take it just to feel hot, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Then,
exactly.
The other time is I had my gallbladder removed, and while I was under, they gave me fentanyl. And
oh, really? Oh, yeah. You were telling me about this before. You didn't know.
I didn't know.
You told them you didn't want the fentanyl, and they still gave it to you.
Yeah, and I woke up
telling me about that.
Yeah. Okay, I wasn't sure if we had talked about that, man.
Yeah. That's up, man.
We're from the same area, right, in South Jersey?
Yep, we're both Camden County, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
Blackwood?
I'm from Summerdale, Blackwood. Yeah, Summerdale, Blackwood, like Shoes Landing.
Yeah.
And then you're from Audubon, right?
Yep. Audubon.
Actually, when I was when I was bouncing around at a couple people's houses, like after I got evicted from that last place in Philly before I moved here, one of the people's houses I stayed at, I was in Oakland. My friend Andrea Stroth, Ann Stroth. I stayed with her. She's one of the people that let me come in for like a week.
I think I know her sister.
You know her sister because there's like 5 or 6 of them or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got a huge family. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
know.
this is my old homie from. We dated for a little bit on and off, but yeah, like she had me stay with her. She actually needed somebody to house sit. So, but yeah, I was in Oakland for a week, right near Audubon. Yeah.
Yeah, we Oakland was so close. That's where like my brother played football
Yeah, yeah,
for
yep,
the Oakland Cougars, and like my sister cheerleaded for them and shit like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
And Collingswood, when we're so close to Collingswood, Audubon is
yeah.
when I was a senior, they were doing a construction on the high school.
Same thing
And,
happened at my high school.
is it really?
Yeah,
We were,
they're building Timber Creek, so we had like weird times going in our freshman year, and then we had like a bigger class our senior year, something like that.
I remember playing against Timber Creek when I was a freshman at Paul Six, and it was like their first year open.
Oh, you went to Paula 6
for 1 year.
Oh, just for 1 year.
Yeah.
I almost went there, but I went to Triton instead.
What year did you graduate?
2003.
Okay, so you were 2 years older than me.
2 years, yeah.
Well, you are 2 years old. Not you were. You are 2 years old.
Yeah.
Because I graduated in 05.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were redoing our high school and we didn't have a football field. So we played all of our home games in Collingswood.
Okay.
And we ended up getting into a huge fight with them. Like a huge fight with them. Because we just talk so much shit.
Yeah, it happened at my high school with Camden actually. There's a huge fight like during the football game. They actually canceled the rest of the football game. It was my senior year. Yeah.
So when did you first get into drinking and using?
Well, drinking was never really my problem. It was pretty much just the opiates. But that was, I mean, like I've done a lot of drugs, but like the one that like really killed me was like the opiates. But that was like 2008. It was like right after the Phillies won the World Series, I think, actually. Yeah.
I don't know if we talked about this, but that's when mine started too.
Yeah, I think we did definitely. Yeah, it was like right around the same time, and then I went to rehab once, and I was in January of 2011, and then it was like years after that for me to like get it right. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Where'd you go to rehab?
New Hope in Marlboro, New Jersey. It's like Ocean County. Yeah.
And you didn't get anything from it?
No, I just wasn't ready. I don't think, you know what I mean? Yeah, I think I was still young and stupid and, you know, but yeah, no, I did the rehab, did 30 days there. I was fine after that for like 6 months. And then I had moved to Philly, and then, you know how shit goes. Like you just run back into shit. And then if you're not like in a good place yet, you'll just succumb to it pretty quickly. So, and then from there, it was like just doing it. I did it pretty consistently from then until 2018. And then like for the last few years, I was like detoxing myself. I think we talked about this before too, where I was like microdosing Suboxone. And then like, but that was just stupid because that's like in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh wait, I can just get clean whenever I want and just hop back on the horse again and I'll be fine. You know what I mean? That's why like I think I wasn't really successful until I did the cold turkey off of heroin at the end. And like I needed to like feel the pain to like so I'd never forget it. And I haven't looked back. I don't even really think about the shit ever anymore. Like it's just not even a passing thought in my head. I just don't. But also too, it's easy because nowadays it's like you read all this stuff about fentanyl and the fentanyl analogs and trank and all that stuff, and it's like, damn, like not to make a stupid joke, but I'm glad I did drugs when I did them because now the game is so fucked up. It's scary, man. It's scary.
And especially, and I know, you know, if we talked about things, remember your first part didn't air because the recording got fucked up. So I'm going over things again to like replace part one. So you get into pills in 08, and by 2011 you go to rehab.
Yeah.
Were you doing consistently for 3 years then?
Oh yeah, I was doing at that point. It was a really quick progression from that point until like 2010 is when I was just bad. I was doing like 10 to 15 a day, 30s, sometimes more if I could afford it. But yeah, and then I did them consistently for years after that, but I was doing much less. It could be anywhere from like one a day to like five, but still a lot. You know what I mean? But yeah, I was
How
like
did
consistent
you
for that.
transition from pills to heroin?
Uh, it was one of those times where I had detoxed, and I was detoxed for maybe like a couple weeks or whatever. And somebody hit me up asking me if I knew anybody who wanted heroin. I was like, no. They told me the price of it. I was like, oh wow. I was like, well, let me ask around because I could make some money. So then it just kind of snowballed into like I was selling it for a little bit, and then but really quickly I started doing it because I'm a curious guy. I even told myself for like the longest time I would never do heroin, but it was just there and it was cheap, and I was making money from it. Even doing it, I was still making money. That's how the profit margin on that is like crazy. That was like when that was like 2017, so like or 2018. So uh, we had test strips, so I tested that stuff to make sure it wasn't fentanyl. So it was like a good like 4 month run with like some good clean heroin, and then I was just like that was when I was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I can't like I already see where this is going. You know, it's only going to get worse. So I just kind of stopped. Did cold turkey in my bedroom for like 8 days, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's better to do cold turkey than to do subs.
Yeah, and I don't knock anybody for doing subs. Like I'm not one of those people like you're not clean if you're like I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
Like whatever. My whole thing is if you're living your life better, then that is like sobriety, I guess, or you know what I mean. That's
yeah,
recovery. Just living better. Like you're able to support yourself. You're relatively healthy, and you have good relationships, and you keep a job, and then you have time for leisure and hobbies, stuff like that. Like I think like that's the idea for me.
yeah. I couldn't agree more. I don't knock people for subs. It just wasn't for me.
Exactly.
I had abused subs in my addiction. You know what I mean? Just to keep the party going, I would
Yeah.
use subs just to hold me off until the next time I had 30s again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I got clean, they offered me subs when I went to rehab.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, we can prescribe you Suboxone for the pain. And I said, no, I want to feel the pain.
I did the same thing. Yeah, they gave
Oh,
me that Klonidine stuff, which I asked about beforehand. I'm like, am I gonna be okay? Like, oh yeah, we're gonna give you Klonidine. You like, it's like taking 4 Benadryl, and they were lying. It was like taking. I literally slept for 3 days in detox because of that stuff. So it was not bad, but I knew I didn't want to have I don't want to have that dependency on something else to like I guess get me through it. But then I was using it as a crutch to like you know, support myself throughout life. And then I was like, okay, well, like I need to do this just straight up cold turkey, nothing else, and then I'll be good. And it worked out. So
yeah, I did. The two most dangerous things that you can quit cold turkey are benzos and alcohol.
yeah,
You
yeah,
can literally die from either one when you're withdrawn.
yeah. Actually, speaking of alcohol, so I don't think this happened when we talked last time, but I know I mentioned to you how my mom is an alcoholic. So I think if I have the dates correct, like when we talked and when it happened, my grandmother passed away in 2022. Yeah, 2022. And the day that we were burying her at her funeral, my mom's liver failed her. Yeah. It was a whole thing. It was like a scary day, and then on top of that, it was like even scarier because of that. And then but she wound up she went to the hospital. She was in Christiana in Delaware. That's where they live. Um, and she was there for a couple weeks. They did a bunch of tests to make sure they didn't have to like take out her liver or do surgery of any other kind. And they said that she's fine as long as she quits right then and there. No alcohol ever again, and she had to change her diet drastically. Um, and she didn't really take to it at first, like in the hospital, And then as soon as she got out of the hospital, she luckily my uncle, who I also think I mentioned to you before, he was an alcoholic in really bad way, and he's living very nice now. But he actually moved literally around the corner from my mom, and I think having him there to help her through it, like over the this is your life, like it's life or death right now. It's like, she needed to snap into it kind of, but she is now 2 years sober, completely
That's
sober.
awesome.
Yeah, she's doing awesome. She's like, I'm so proud of her. So proud of her. It's nice to like actually have my mom back. I haven't had like a healthy, like clear-minded mom pretty much my entire life, So
I
yeah.
forget. Are you an only child?
No, I have two siblings. I have a brother who I'll be 40 in 6 weeks, and I have a brother who is 37, and then I have a sister who just turned 34. She just turned 34, I think. Yeah. Yep.
And the uncle, is that your mom's brother?
Yep. Yeah. My mom, my parents moved to a new development down in Middletown, Delaware, and there's like they're still building houses, and it's a whole new development, and we call it the Moran compound. This is my mom's maiden name because both her brothers and their families moved in there. I'm talking like 3 houses apart. So I'm like, Dad, I'm like, is this how you imagine retirement? He's like, no.
Surrounded by his in-laws.
But it's good for her because for that reason especially, it's nice that she's living a good life. Like she's got good people around her that care about her, and they're watching her back, and yeah, they're just enjoying life down there.
Yeah, that's cool. Delaware's not bad.
It's just the whole thing. The whole state is just one highway rest stop, dude. It's like there's like nothing but farms, and then like a development in between, and then maybe a shopping center.
Yeah, and because the shopping center is big because no taxes.
Yep. That's why they moved there. Because no taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they pay and then their property taxes are like $1,300 a month.
Yeah, that's nothing in comparison.
Or a year. I'm sorry, a year. $1,300 a year. Yeah.
I know what you meant. Yeah,
Jersey.
Jersey is like $10,000 a year.
Yeah, they were paying like $13,000 a year back over in Somerdale, Blackwood. Yeah,
I believe it.
Yeah.
So you went to detox. Is that what you said? You went to detox to get off heroin?
No. When I went to detox, I was just doing perks. I didn't do heroin until like the last 6 months of me using Percocet, like opiates at all. I never touched them, and then like I was kind of near the tail end. I didn't know it at the time, I guess, but yeah, I did heroin. I sold heroin for like a month, and then I did it for like 5 months, and then I quit, and then I haven't looked back since. So it was July of 2018.
You still got friends in there that are still using?
I don't know. I'm not even really in touch with people back in Jersey like that. I have like my close friends, my friends Paul and Frank. My friend Frank actually he was doing it with me at the time. We worked at the same Applebee's. We were doing that shit, but he's been off that for a while. But he even quit alcohol recently, so he doesn't even drink anymore. He's got 3 kids. He's got twins, and the twins are like 2, and then he's got another kid who's like 5. So, and then my other friend Paul, he never really got into that shit. So, but he's like a writer for the Sixers, like a journalist. So like they're good people. And then like other than that, I talk to like my family and friends, like, you know what I mean? Like my cousin who lived in my neighborhood, my aunt who lived in my neighborhood. I went back to get some of my tattoo work done in Glendora. I mean, so I talked to my tattoo artist, but I don't really talk to anybody from back then. There was one dude who I was thinking about recently. He was a good friend of mine, but I was doing shit with him too. But he called me randomly during the pandemic, and he was telling me how like he tried to commit suicide and this and that, and like, I feel bad, but it's like, I just, there's nothing that him and I have in common anymore. You know what I mean? It's just how it goes sometimes. You just kind of you grow apart. I don't need to have whatever he has going on in his life in my life. 98% of our relationship was that. So like, there's no reason to like really, I hope he's doing okay, but I don't need to like catch up with him and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's people that I used to use with all the time, and none of them talk to me anymore. And I
Yeah.
know it's because they're still in the thick of it, and they don't want to hear from someone who's sober.
Yeah. I mean, you know how it is though, like you go on Facebook, right? And
Yeah,
like there's people that I know, and like I'm like my friend Valine, we were just talking the other day. She's like, I'm glad to see you doing so well. And I said the same thing to her. Like we keep tabs on each other. We don't talk all the time, but we keep tabs, and it's just good to know that certain people that you've had in your life are doing well, but you don't have to like keep up with them all the time. And it's nice to see that with the people that are doing well. You know what I mean?
yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean, man. I had one of my, I won't even say his name, but a good friend of mine who was struggling with substance abuse. And finally, I caught up with him the other day, and he was just in a bad way and trying to like figure his shit out. And he actually went to an NA meeting the other day with me, and said he's going to continue going to NA with me. I do NA on Zoom.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's probably really popular now, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a Zoom meeting once an hour, any day of the week for NA or AA. On the weekends, I do GA because my gambling was getting out of control.
Oh, really? Oh, really? You had a gambling problem?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, baseball season, man. Just did a number on me.
Baseball, really?
Yeah.
Football's the big one for gambling, right?
Well, the difference was, so this is what happened. What had happened was, is I was only betting on Sundays for football, right? I was
Okay.
betting on Sundays for football. And then football ended and baseball started, and baseball's on 7 days a week.
Yeah. That's true.
So I found myself betting on baseball every single day.
You and Pete Rose. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. And I found a GA meeting based out of Las Vegas. And I do that meeting because I figure if anyone can quit gambling, it's people that live in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So yeah, I do a Zoom meeting based out of Vegas on Saturday and Sundays, and I do NA during the week. I haven't really been to AA in a couple months just because I've been so inundated with NA that like
Yeah.
I don't need to do both. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
My sponsor's in NA, and he's got 30 years, and we're about to go through the steps and shit like that. So because I had a relapse since we last talked with
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that. What was it
yeah,
that you got? What was your
Benzo's
relapse?
Valium.
Oh, okay. Yeah. How'd that come about?
My dad passed away last June,
Oh, I'm sorry.
and and I didn't process it that well. And I
Yeah.
have a psychiatrist, and I kind of manipulated him into giving me Ativan, and then I abused the Ativan, and then I manipulated him into giving me something stronger, so he prescribed me Valium. Then I learned that you can snort Valium.
Oh yeah, you didn't know that? You can snort pretty much anything.
But the difference is if you snort Xanax, it's a waste of a Xanax.
Kind of, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it doesn't get you higher, or it doesn't hit you quicker. If you eat a Xanax, you get higher.
Right.
You get high just as fast, and it
Yeah.
stays longer. So it's better to eat a Valium or eat a Xanax than sniff a Xanax. And Valium, it actually, one of the ways, and I looked this up. This is how I know. One of the ways it's administered is intranasal. So I was like, oh shit,
Oh
I
really?
can snort a Valium and get higher. So I snorted my own Valium all the time. And then eventually my wife was like, you're missing a lot of pills out of your bottle that shouldn't be missing, and called me out on it. And I was like, yeah, I've been fucking up. And you know what I mean? And finally I took a month off of work through FMLA and short-term disability. So it's not like I was like, oh, I'm going on vacation for a month.
Yeah.
I started going to meetings every day again, and I quit cold turkey.
Good.
Which fucked up my
How long has
sleep.
it been for you now?
5 months.
Okay.
Yep. And I quit weed this time too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
So you're like completely
abstinent from everything.
sober.
Yep.
Nice. Okay.
Is sports betting legal in Minnesota?
No, not yet. But it's weird though. They have. I think it's a weird thing. They have gambling in bars. Like it's like they have these things called pull tabs. It's like really popular in like the upper Midwest. It's like Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois. It's like pull tabs. It's like a little paper, and you pay like anywhere from like $1 to $5 for it, and then it has like 3 tabs, and it's like a paper slot machine. When you open it up, it tells you if you want some money or whatever. And like they have that, and then they have like e-tabs, which is an electronic version of that. So that actually is like slots. But you can do that here, but you can't sports gamble. Only what's that one draft? Not
You can do
DraftKings.
Vandal, DraftKings,
The one where you bet on the players, because that's like not like,
fantasy. Yeah,
no, like damn, I forget what it's called. But yeah, it's like you bet on players that like so and so will have more than 1.5, less or more than 1.5 touchdowns.
yeah.
Something
I
like
know
that.
you're talking. Yeah,
Yeah. So, but yeah, you can't bet on games straight up and like that yet. You have to go to Wisconsin to do that, which is 20 minutes away actually. So,
yeah.
but I'm not a gambler anyway though, so I don't like.
In
I work hard for my
Pennsylvania,
money.
it's legal.
Yeah. I think in Jersey it is too.
Yeah, it is. Yep, they
Yeah.
both passed around the same time. I think it was 2019 or 2020, somewhere around there, and
Yeah.
that's when I got into.
Yeah,
Yep,
they make it really easy for people to spend their money now.
just back from your phone, man.
Yeah, on
And
your couch from your phone.
this shit
Yep.
just got dangerous. And I could.
Yeah.
There was one night I was up money. Like I had like 100 and some bucks in my account, and I was wide awake because I got insomnia. And this is before I was taking sleep meds. So I was wide awake, and I was like, well, let me play some roulette. And I found myself up $2,100.
Wow.
And then 2 hours later, I was down to zero.
Yeah, my buddy does all those like online, like because even if you're not in like in a casino or whatever, they have those online casinos. They have like like the back alley like websites kind of, and like you're technically gambling with like it's like internationally. It's like an international casino, and you use like Bitcoin and stuff like that to like gamble. He's really into that, and he'll sit there for hours at night, just him and his boys just putting up money, playing roulette, blackjack, different hands. It's crazy
Yeah,
how easily you can just gamble now, anywhere, anytime, any place.
I know. Before it was just Vegas and Atlantic City
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the Indian casinos.
yeah. Maybe Lake Tahoe too. I guess Lake Tahoe says casinos, but yeah. You had to go to like destinations to like go gamble.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, it definitely was. I had to stop that. July 13th was my last bet. So
Oh yeah.
I'm going strong coming up on 2 months. I
Money,
figured I'd quit worse things.
money is so much nicer in your pocket, man, and your bank account.
I know. But now bills are paid. But the problem is I was winning too. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't just losing. There was one bet I won $1,200 on a $5 bet.
Yeah. Wow.
So I wasn't just losing, I was winning money too. But the problem is like I was losing more than I was winning.
Yeah.
And it was taking all my attention.
It's
Like
those wins. It's those wins that ring you in, and then like you don't realize like you're actually down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna backtrack again. You were doing like 1030s a day. Were you selling them?
10 to 15. No, I never sold them. I mean,
Because I sold them a lot.
no, I never got into selling them. I mean, like when back there was once upon a time when they were like $10 or $15 a piece. You can get them for, I'd buy a bunch for some people, and then like I'd be getting mine for free type of thing. But I never sold them. You know what I mean?
You were middlemaning.
Yeah. But that didn't last for so long. You know what I mean? Because that price was probably only stuck for maybe the first year or two I did it, and then it was like $20 a pill. Then it was
30, 25.
Then it was 25. Then it was 30, and I never paid more than like I got at the end. They were starting to be 30, and after that, I heard they're going for like double that now. Like
Well, yeah, and the crazy thing and like the thing that scares me away from a relapse is they're making the fake M's.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I mean. Like that's why I'm glad I don't do this shit anymore. Because, like, you go get a pill nowadays, unless you are getting it handed to you from the pharmacist and walking out of that door yourself with that in your hand, you don't know what the fuck it is. You
Yeah.
just don't. It's scary out there.
Yeah, they're doing like the scary part is the M's were the best ones in my opinion.
Yeah,
They were like the holy
I,
grail. If you got some M's.
yeah. I kind of like. I mean, I kind of like them all, but but
Well,
but
the V's made my face break out. I
I
don't know
like the
why.
M. I like the M because they had the most powder. They were
Yeah.
like a little bit thicker than the other ones. Then also, but also too, there was those ones that were like U. I think it was like a U and something else, and they were just bigger pills.
Oh,
And they were U something.
there
Yeah, I want to
was
say U571, but I know that's like a submarine in a movie or something like that.
there's
Yeah,
the V. They had A215s,
yeah, I remember that one. Yeah,
and then there was the
classic.
V. Yep. There was the V's, and the V's would always make me break out in hives. I don't know
The
why.
V's were the ones that had their coating was like a little bit glossier, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
Yep.
And yeah, they were a
You're right.
little
The
harder to
M's,
crush.
yeah, the M's were definitely the best, like the most powder you could get out of it.
Yeah,
And they were thinner.
and it's the same amount of like it's like literally like minuscule differences, like because each of them is like 29.87 milligrams or like 29.89 milligrams, like. But I think it's also the novelty of like doing them that was like part of it too. So like when you have more powder to do, it's like, oh yeah, like in your head you're like, yeah,
Look at
it's
this big
better.
line.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There was one time I was getting them delivered to me. I lived in Manheim, Pennsylvania, like
Where's
Lancaster
that?
County.
Oh,
Lancaster
okay.
County.
Yeah,
Uh,
man. I was gonna say Mannheim is like a totally it's like a what do you call it? Amish name, right?
yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
totally.
were surrounded by Amish farmers and shit like that.
Yeah.
And I would always drive from there to Washington Township to pick up pills. It was
Township is like Perk Central back then.
2 hours of driving. This is back in 2016 to 2018. This is the last 2 years of my addiction. I was driving 2 hours each way, 4 to 5 times a week. And I would get to Washington Township, I would get my pills, and I would drive all the way back again.
Yeah.
And there was sometimes when I had a little bit of extra money in my pocket, I would call my dealer and say, listen, I'm gonna like give the money to the delivery driver, but I need you to give them to him and have them bring him to me, and I'm gonna give him $100 for delivery. And so I had this kid driving 2 hours to me to give me my 20 pills. And in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm getting 20. I'm just gonna do 2 now, and then I'll have plenty for tomorrow and plenty for the next day, and yada yada yada.
Yeah.
He gets there and he was like, hey, I told my friend who he brought with him for the drive. He's like, I told my friend that you can snort 4 in one line. You want to show him? And I'm like, fuck yeah, I'll show him. Just like that. Just like that, I broke my 2 rule.
Yeah, that's how whenever you get more, that's when you do more. Yeah.
In my head, I had it all planned out right.
Yeah, we always do.
Yeah,
It
man.
all sounded good on paper.
The insanity that was there with pills, dude.
Yeah.
Just the fact that I would drive that far. That the one night my dude wasn't around and I was calling like everybody. I drove 2 hours. This is the last time I really like sought after pills. It was April 21st of 2018. And I was sitting in the McDonald's parking lot for 8 hours trying to get a hold of people. And I would just sit in my car at McDonald's in Mount Ephraim
Been there, done that.
bike and just trying to find somebody. And then finally someone's like, yeah, I can get him for you, but he only has 4 left and I want one for finding them. And I was just like, finally I was just like, all right, that's fine, dude. That's fine. So I bought 3 and I did 2 right away because I was withdrawing so bad. And I'm driving back and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing with myself? Like I just spent 11 hours because I'm driving. I'm like, what am I doing? I had my dog with me the entire time in my back seat, and I'd walk her in the McDonald's parking lot so she could piss and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm driving back with one, and I Googled this rehab out in California, and I called them, and this guy talked to me for 2 hours, and he was saying shit that for the first time I was hearing that I was relating to. And I was like, yep, I'll fly out there on Wednesday. And got on a plane Wednesday on the
Yeah, that was
20th.
the one in LA, right?
Yeah, the high
Yep.
sobriety.
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't really,
Excuse me.
besides my little benzo relapse, I haven't fucked with opiates since. So I'm glad, man. I'm glad we're both out of that because it's never easy what we were doing.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, it was a crazy time. Crazy time.
Yeah.
It was and it was like a window of time too in history, like where it was like we just happened to be living at that time. Like, because you didn't, I mean, you had like heroin and stuff before, but like the opiate thing was just a crazy time in modern history. You know what I mean?
I had somebody on my show from Ohio that was driving from Ohio to Florida 6 times a month to go to the
Oh,
pill.
dude, I was actually, when you were talking about going to Washington Township, I was going to mention that. Like, I know people that were driving, they would just drive down to the pill mills in Florida, do it like once a month, because you could just get like multiple scripts of like 320, and like you walk and you're paying like only a few $100s for them. Like, and you bring them back up here and sell them for, 15, 20, 30, 25, 30.
Yep.
Yeah.
And nowadays you don't know what the fuck you're getting. You can't trust if the person's getting them from a regular script or not.
Yeah.
Like,
So glad I don't do that shit anymore.
I work in orthopedics, and like I'm a scheduler. I schedule people for their orthopedics, and people call the time that just had surgery on their knee or their shoulder, and I have to view their medications with them, and I'll see oxycodone every single time, like all the time. And it's not triggering, but it's just funny to me to see people prescribe 5 or 10. I've never saw somebody prescribed higher than 10 milligrams. And that'd be for like a gnarly accident. They're getting 10s. And in my head, I'm like, they were prescribing 30s for anything back then.
Yeah.
And nowadays they won't go above 10 milligrams.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you got to be like a terminal cancer patient, or like have multiple slip discs and sciatica and all that stuff, like major back problems to even get that.
I don't even
Otherwise,
my dad that wasn't even getting pain pills, and he had stage 4 cancer.
Really?
Yeah. Like he was just raw dogging it.
Just raw dogging it, cheese. I always say like, I'm not doing this shit now, but like, and I don't even know what it would be, but I don't want to be like so old that I'm like sitting in like a old person's home, like just like withering away. I'd rather just go out with a bang. Like, so I'll probably just like Frank from Shameless.
Oh, yeah.
Just go out with a bang before I get to that point.
When he finds all that, when he gets all that meth, from his he dies and he gets all that meth, and he ends up like in a fucking Buddhist temple or some shit.
Yeah,
with all the monks just getting out for a month.
So good.
And then he came back and he was Francis, and he only wanted to be referred to as Francis, and he worked at like the lawn care or some shit, like like a Home Depot or something. Like oh my god, Shameless is great, dude.
Yeah,
it's a good show. The last season.
I didn't see the last season either. Actually, it was a season after what's her name left. The main character.
Yeah, I'm blanking on her name too.
Yeah, after she left, I was like, Fiona's her character name.
Fiona, yeah.
I'm trying to think of the actress name, but beside the point. But yeah, like after she left, I didn't watch the show.
One of the most real things to me is when Lip went to AA.
Oh yeah.
When he started going to AA and he got that sponsor who relapsed and shit and stole the Michael Jordan statue.
Yeah.
That was so relatable because around that season was around the time I got sober. And I knew exactly the things they were talking about in AA and with his sponsor and all that shit. And then to see the relapse. I never related to a show more than I did with Lip and his alcoholism.
Yeah, yeah, he was actually the most relatable character for me,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, yeah. I could see that because we're both the oldest, and Lip isn't the oldest person, but he's the oldest brother.
Yeah,
So he had to make the mistake so that Carl and fucking the little one wouldn't make. Or I'm blanking on both of their names. It's been so long. I don't know, dude. I'm glad that you like in Minneapolis. That's
yeah,
fucking awesome.
yeah. It's
Have you
awesome
been
here.
there for hockey season yet?
Oh yeah, I went to Flyers Wild last January. That was awesome. I went to all three Phillies games when they were here last month. Um, and I also went to a Sixers game, but that game was kind of beat because Embiid was out. Uh, yeah, Maxi might have been out too. I think it was like we had like nobody playing that game, so we got trashed like 30-0. And also like that was the year that was last season, and like Timberwolves were like really good last season. So yeah,
I have a
but I've been
buddy.
to everything but the Viking. I've been to the Vikings game now. I went to a preseason game, but I have not seen the Eagles here, and it's not going to
Yeah.
happen this year. So
I have a buddy that's coming on the show. He's from Audubon, and now he lives in Wisconsin, and he went to all three games too.
oh yeah,
Like I saw you posting on Facebook from
yeah,
the
yeah.
three games that you went to, and I saw him posting from the
Oh
three
really?
games he went to.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought it was funny that you
yeah. I
both
went to all three.
all three games. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It was a Monday night game, Tuesday night game, Wednesday day game. I was there for all three.
the Phillies win the series 2-1.
No, they lost 2-1. Yeah, I
Bad
know.
luck,
That
man.
that was the start of their like current slump. Dude, it's crazy. The Atlanta Braves are only 3 games back now.
That's scary.
I know. They're creeping up real slow.
Yeah,
And now I'm like, we only got a month left.
got to buckle down, Phillies.
Yeah, definitely,
Well,
definitely.
I'm glad that you're enjoying Minneapolis so much, dude. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, yeah. It's really cool here. I'm definitely. I'm like, part of this was like just challenging myself to do something different. Kind of just not doing everything that I've done in the same box forever. Like wanted to like just go out somewhere different, meet new people, do new things. So like I'm bartending at the Minnesota Vikings watch bar. I bring Eagles fans in there. I found a bunch of Eagles fans when I moved here. So like anytime like this Friday, it's going to be like 40 Eagles fans in the Minnesota Vikings watch bar, just like going nuts. So I do that part time, and I'm part time freelancing video editing, and yeah, and I'm just kind of just living, doing a lot of traveling coming up. I'll be going back to Jersey for a wedding in November, like a week before Thanksgiving, and then January 2nd, I'm going to Vegas for the first time because the Flyers play the Golden Knights, and my buddy from here moved back there. So I promised him I'd go back. So I'm just going to go to the 3-day trip there, go to the Flyers Knights game. And then I'm treating myself to a 40th birthday gift because, nobody else is going to do anything for me. So, I just put the passport application out yesterday, actually. So I'm going to go to the UK in May. And then I'll probably do a couple trips to I'll probably go to Madrid, Italy, and Amsterdam. I might,
Amsterdam's awesome, dude.
yeah, I might mix that up a little bit. I'm not sure exactly what the itinerary is going to be, but I'm spending 2 weeks over there, so I should have plenty of time to hit a couple different cities outside of London because I'm going to fly into London, make that my base camp, and then kind of go from there. So,
I've been to Amsterdam, I've been to Belgium, and I've been to Germany, all
yeah,
on the same trip. And Berlin,
that's Germany. Germany, I want to go to. I'm considering that too. I heard that was really cool.
Berlin was awesome. I loved Berlin. It was just a lot of history there, a lot of cool bars you could go to, and then I went to this city in Belgium called Ghent, Ghent, and it
Okay.
was my favorite city that I've been to. Like my dad and I always joked around, like if we needed to hide from the law and get the fuck out of the country, we're going to Ghent.
Is it like tucked away, like in
Yeah,
like mountains, kind of?
not even mountains, but like there's a castle in that town from a count back in the
Oh wow,
day, and you could go do the tour of the castle.
that's awesome.
There's this bar that gives you these giant fucking mugs, like these
Oh,
giant
like the Das
glasses.
Boot. Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to give them a shoe as collateral. So because people were stealing the fucking shoots. I think they're called shoots.
Oh, okay. That's
People
actually
will
like
spit on them, so you have to give a shoe in order to get that cup.
that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. It was cool as shit, and
Yeah.
I really liked Ghent. And I went to Amsterdam, and I got high as shit that entire time.
How was
Um,
Amsterdam? Did you go there like on a solo? Like, is it just that, or did you go like
no,
other
I
places?
went from Berlin to Ghent to Amsterdam,
Oh, okay.
and Amsterdam was really cool.
Oh,
Heineken
how
is
old were you when you went?
2016, so I
Oh,
was
so pretty recently.
30 years old, 29, 30.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Um, yeah, and the nice thing is, I was at this dinner. I was with my family, my parents, my brother, sister, brother-in-law, grandma, and I was smoking a lot. They weren't really big smokers. I smoked with my parents for the first time. I smoked with my brother and my sister, and like all of us like smoked together in this circle, which was cool. Because I was the pothead in the family. Nobody else earned really smoking weed, and I got to smoke with all of them. And whatchamacallit, we were out to dinner, and I was baked out of my mind. And they were like, "What do you want to drink?" And I was like, "I'll have a Coke." And they're like, "You should have a Heineken." I'm like, "I don't like Heineken." They're like, "Have you ever had Heineken from Netherlands? Because that's where it's made." And I'm like, "Actually, I haven't." So they
Oh, it's
got me,
like way different.
dude. It's way different. It's so
Really?
much better. Yeah.
Huh.
Yep. I highly recommend it if you're in Amsterdam to get a Heineken because that shit's
Noted.
fresh.
Noted.
Yep.
Noted. Yeah.
But yeah, man, Amsterdam is beautiful. There are all the canals they have.
Yeah.
There's a lot of historical. You can go to Anne Frank's house and shit like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I definitely recommend Amsterdam as part of your little trip. It's a really cool
Yeah.
time.
I
That
definitely
sounds
want to
like
see. Yeah, I definitely want to see as much as I can. Like I've worked really hard to get where I'm at. Like that's kind of what this trip is. It's like I'm rewarding myself. It's something I always wanted to do. I always wanted to travel. I just always was like curious about like what else is out there, and I just never had the means to do it because I was just fucking up my life. You know what I mean? But now it's been 6 years. Like now I'm figuring out how to be an adult, good with my money. The time is now for me to do what I want to do, and I can do it, so I'm going to do it.
yeah,
I
that's
feel like
awesome.
that's something that people should like really. It's hard to see it when you're messed up on drugs or whatever, but that's something that like people can really like put as a goal. It's like doing the things you want to do. It's like once the money starts piling back up and you're doing well for yourself and like it's freedom. Money is freedom, and you can't do that if you're like spending all your money on drugs. And like once you start seeing that, like all the possibilities, it's like, oh shit. Like so now it's just going towards those things and then leaving everything else in the dust.
Yep. Well, you're proof that people do recover, bud.
Facts.
You're proof. I will keep in touch with you.
Yeah, man. Good talking to you.
All right, you too, bro. I'll see you.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.